and welcome to another broadcast of Deep Productions. Today, we're privileged to have a couple of our tennis coaches with us as we go over the past tennis season, talk a little bit about the program and what all's going on. To my far left is Tripp Cook, and right here in the middle is Coach Lee Cook, and we'll get into some questions and answers and talk a little bit about things about the tennis as we go through. But let's give a word to our sponsors as we get started. Want to thank our new sponsors of Deep Productions, Gage Harrelson Contractors, LLC, Riles Drugstore, Riles Outfitters, Sunny Smiles Pet Grooming, Deep and Deeper Cleaning, State Farm Insurance Agency, and McRae Helena, Will Gardner, the agent, Your Choice Healthcare, PC and McRae, Willow Creek Restaurant, Stamps Walker Insurance Agency, Telfair County Rec Department, M&C Bank, Joy's Florist, Dion with DJ's Triple Threat, Cedar Lane Restaurant, Golden Isles Healthcare, LLC, LG Custom Services, Graham Farm Insurance, Family Medical Care with Rick Clyte, Baby C, Baby Do, get that gender reveal started today. Telfair Snapshots, the Telfair County Chamber of Commerce, and the Friends of Little Old Muggy State Park. And we so appreciate all the sponsors. We have so many. Program could be over by the time we get through saying these things. But, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate y'all being with us. And a lot of things we want to talk about with the tennis program. Lee, we want to start with you. You've been a fixture with this tennis team for a long time. About how many years approximately have you been coaching tennis, Lee?
Around 37 years.
Oh, my gosh, around 37 years. Again,
I'm getting old.
No. We're not getting older. We're getting better, man. And again, since you've been here, just kind of a question, Lee. Do you remember whose place you may have taken or anything along that line? Because I'm trying to. The last one I remember before you, I think, was Bill Hudgens. And I don't know if he had been doing it or someone else. I know that's a trick question. It's not on my list today.
Yeah, I'm not. I did. For 3 years, I didn't coach them. I started out coaching for a couple of years, and I went back and got my master's. And
Right.
I coached for 3 years. And I think James Henderson coached him those 3 years.
Hindu.
Yeah.
Oh, James may have coached him. And again, good person. Lee, just out of curiosity, when you were growing up, were you a tennis fan, or is this something that just came to you over time? Because I know from our friendship over the years, I know you played football and a number of sports in high school. Did you have an interest in tennis at a young age, or just how did you get to this point?
Basically, I played golf and football in high school, and I played golf in college.
Right.
And when I got hired, I was meeting with Miss Bradfield. We were talking about what I was going to be teaching and coaching football.
Right.
And as I started out the door, she said, oh, by the way, you're going to coach tennis in the spring. I looked at her and she says, do you know anything about it? I said, I know which end of the racket you hold in your hand. So that's how I got started.
Well, I tell you, it's been a great career, and hopefully, as you said, 37 years, hopefully we got many, 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 many more. I tell you what. Now, Tripp, I got to ask you this question. I know you played tennis in high school.
Right.
And I know that you guys had a lot of playoffs and got into a lot of different great matches. First of all, what got you interested in tennis? Was it Dad coaching, or just you've always enjoyed it?
Well, as a coach's son, you sort of just track along to every sport they're involved in. So Daddy was coaching tennis, and I was there, and that's really how I got interested.
Wow.
Following around everybody. Back then we had 5-gallon buckets of tennis balls. My job was to pick them up, put them in the 5-gallon buckets, and then get them ready for the players. And so I just got interested at a young age.
That is wonderful. And Tripp, if I'm not mistaken, don't you on occasion have some tennis camps, or you've done some tennis camps in the past?
I do. I do tennis camps, and then we'll host tournaments and things like that.
Do you find that it's very popular? A lot of kids come in and...
I have found that it's been really popular. I'm always sort of surprised at the level of interest that we have in it.
Oh, yeah.
Not just in the local community, but in the surrounding communities as well.
Absolutely. So again, this is kind of, how was it? How was this man as a coach towards you? It's a loaded question. We're live, so be careful.
I used to fire him and tell him to get off the court. Then
we had lots of
Better not
lots of
yell at him
days.
and tell him to get his butt back on the court.
We had lots of days to where I was either kicked off the team or I chose to quit the team, and then I had to get back on the court.
And then you
Yeah,
came
yeah.
back on. But I know I bet it's been great being able to work with your dad and, of course, Lee, with your
It
son
has
over
been.
the years. I think that is absolutely wonderful. Lee, throughout your career, and this goes back to the time when private schools were in our region and in the playoffs against us and all. Your teams have always been competitive. They've been successful. I mean, they've been in playoffs innumerable times. I think over the last decade or so, your boys and girls teams have won state titles and all that. So I'm going to ask you the key question. What's the formula that you guys are using that you consistently have these good teams every year? They just seem to be very competitive, and it's almost like automatic they go to the playoffs.
Well, number one, you got to have kids that's willing to work. And we've got some really good kids that do work, and they also got really supportive parents. So that's the combination that you need to do. I mean, like we've been out this summer playing, and it's been pretty hot. you know?
Absolutely.
But we've had a bunch of kids to go play. We go play a bunch of different schools, Went to West Lawrence, and we had them and Blakely and us and Johnson and Statesboro. Went over to Statesboro, and at Statesboro, Southeast Bullock,
Wow.
West Lawrence and Blakely were over there. I know we were playing Pro Sixes because we wanted to just play one set so we can play different people.
Sure.
And at 11 o'clock, the heat index was 100, so they cut it back to a Pro 4 instead of Pro 6.
Oh, gosh. That's
And
incredible.
we ended up playing to about 12:30,
Well, have y'all noticed? Go ahead,
Can
Tripp.
I add something? I mean, there's a lot that he puts into it too. So,
yeah.
this year, after we won the state championship, when I say afterwards, I don't mean once we were home. I mean on his bus ride home, because I drive separately. Within 10 minutes, he's already called talking about potential lineups for next year. What we need to do next
Yes.
year, what we need to develop for who, and so he's constantly analyzing his players, looking to see where we need to improve, what needs to do to replace players that we've lost. I mean, so there's a lot of thought in that, encouraging the kids, like you said. I mean, that's them playing. I mean, you can't get better if you don't play. So
That's right.
But that has a lot to do with it. It's just he's constantly preparing from.
And I'll kind of jump ahead there on this that you guys have done a couple of these tournaments. First of all, y'all are playing not just, and this takes nothing away from our region. Y'all been playing some teams, it sounds like, during the summer that are not in our region.
Well, and that's another point about what makes us good is that if you just play people that you can beat, then you're never pushed.
Right.
Right. So, and all credit to him. I mean, he constantly makes sure that we
get pushed a lot.
right.
That's good.
Right. Like we look for teams. Most of the teams we play both in regular season and out of regular season are either state championship contenders. They've made it to the finals in their own regions or divisions, or they've made it very deep into the playoffs, and that's everything up to 5A. So
Right.
This year alone, schedule, let's see, Applin's girls, they beat us 3-2, and they won the state championship in AA girls. We played FPD 3 times, caused once in the tournament, and they won the boys and the girls state
Wow.
championship in private schools. And then you had
Blakely played for the state championship.
and boys, and Blakely's girls made it to semifinals, and Barron's girls made it to semifinals, and we play all of them.
Wow. Now, how do the kids react to going against these other teams? I know that you've got to have the mindset that, hey, we're going in to win and all that. Do you find that the kids are not intimidated by going against these larger schools?
I think it helps because they're not all the same age. So I think as freshmen, sometimes there's some intimidation. I think it helps having the older players, like there to sort of calm them, because it doesn't really matter how big they are. It doesn't matter what their record is, because we also have a good record and we're also a good team.
Right.
And then it's just really key at practice and lessons and things like that you focus on developing your gaming, developing your technical skills so that you're confident using them in your match. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
I think we've always had they pretty much accepted that. I tell them when we start the playoffs, I said, you already played teams better than what you're going to face, you know.
Right.
And I also tell them because the teams we have played gives us a better chance to advance in the state playoffs.
Exactly.
With our success in the playoffs, they realize that that's true. So, that helps.
So, apologize for smiling. Y'all go with the Ric Flair school of philosophy. To be the man, you got to beat the man.
Right, exactly. That's true.
That, and I love old Rick. Rick, if you're watching, hello there. so again, that is incredible. Let's talk. You mentioned this as far as playing teams. What about conditioning? Because we had the pleasure of watching y'all a couple of times this year. We went to Ocilla, saw the matches. For us, it was 5,000 degrees,
Well,
and
for us
these kids are out there looking like they're barely breaking a sweat. Do y'all put them on a conditioning program, or do they in the off season pretty much kind of take? I know that some of them ran track. I know some of them have been. I'm thinking specifically, I believe, of Sophie, if I'm not mistaken, Sophie Cook.
She did run cross country.
Who
for a
ran
few
cross
years,
country.
yeah.
Is there anything in particular that y'all encourage them to do besides, of course, play during the off season?
Well, I've always used the philosophy you play yourself into shape, and I didn't really do a whole lot of running. But this year they were going to have the semis and the finals on the same day.
Wow.
And it's been in the 90s up there in Rome. And I said, man, if we have two tough matches back to back, that's going to be tough. So we started running them a lot more the last part of the season.
And a lot of them take private lessons too. And
okay.
And we do that year round. And so in those, we also work on a lot of conditioning training, especially in the off season, footwork drills, running exercises. I think almost all of them, most of them are in weight training throughout the year so that they can.
So that definitely helps. And that's for the boys and the girls.
Right, exactly.
On both sets.
I tell Coach B to work them out good, you know.
Absolutely. Oh, you don't have to tell him twice, I would imagine. He does a great job with it. Well, let's talk briefly about, or not briefly, but a little about the Telfair Middle School and their tennis program. Does it seem like that program is kind of a feeder program? Does it help a little bit? And maybe who's down there helping with the middle school program?
That's Bill Wood, you know, and he's done it for a long time. And he does a really good job. The kids really like him and gets them out playing, you know, getting them started.
And it's key. It's critical.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us have a good team. One of the other things is when do you start them, right? And so having a strong middle school program is key to having players once they get to high school that are ready to begin that transition. And so our middle school program is a very strong middle school program. And that's actually very important to our success.
Now, again, on the middle school, first of all, Bill Wood is a very enthusiastic coach.
Very enthusiastic.
Yep. And he loves it. And again, Bill, a shout out to you. But I think in all honesty, and y'all correct me I think Bill makes it so they enjoy it so that they will continue to play tennis even after middle and high school.
Bill does
you got to
multiple
learn
things.
to love it first. Once they love it, then you can tighten up on it.
Exactly.
And I will tell you a funny anecdote. I helped, before our high school season started this year, I helped Bill with one or two practices. And Bill is the only middle school coach.
Right.
And I came home that one day and I told Daddy, I was like, he deserves a medal. Because there's one coach and there's 40 kids, you know.
Exactly.
And he does a really good job managing those numbers and keeping as many people out as he can, you know, developing them. And he's got kids ranging from never picked up a racket before to players that have had several years of experience. So.
Exactly. And again, that's so important for the program because if they enjoy it, they come up. And I assume that they work on a lot of fundamentals.
Yes, I mean that's what you have to start off with the basics. You can't build a big house till you have a strong foundation.
Right.
You know,
and so once they do that, then when they get to you guys 9th, 10th, 11th grade level,
we still have to work a lot.
I was going to ask, do you still work on fundamentals?
Fundamentals you always want to work on. So you never assume that you have all the fundamentals down. Even the pros will still work on their basic things like footwork and so you always want to work on those fundamentals, and then you add to that and you can develop from that, but you never stray so far away from the fundamentals that you forget where you're starting from.
The pros will tell you that most errors are footwork errors.
Really?
So you really have to try to focus on them moving them feet. Don't stay planted.
You see, as a casual fan, we look at it and we see the volleys going back and forth. but I've never really thought much about the footwork.
Well, your footwork sets you up. So if you have good footwork, then you're going to be theoretically. I mean, you should.
Yeah.
But you have a greater
helps
chance
you.
of being set up for each shot as you need to be.
It
Right.
helps you hit it where you want to hit it to also.
Right.
Like doubles, you don't want to hit it in that person. They'll kill you, But
Exactly.
If you're not getting that, your feet set up,
Or depending on where you're
you
at.
might not be
Well-
able to do that.
Well, Lee, y'all mentioned too about that. Let's talk a little bit about strategy, and then we'll talk a little bit about the past season. Again, in watching singles, of course, I guess it depends upon the type of player that you have as to how they want to work them. Are y'all able to scout, or when you see these teams more than once, are y'all able to kind of strategize a little bit about, okay, how does this one need to play this one? Or is it pretty much they go out with a game plan or not a game plan and kind of get the feel of the match as it goes as to determine how they actually play here?
Well, if we've seen them, then we know how they attacked us the last time we played them. So we do come up with a scheme of what we need to do this time, And but basically, you want to get them running before they can get you running.
Exactly.
But there's
So
also
you don't want to hit it straight to them. You want to try to angle it, hit the corners, get them running. There's different things you can do there too, and so that's there's a thing called the thirds of the court that we introduced,
Right.
and this a thing I got from the pro that used to be at Jekyll.
Okay.
All as far as to work them till you finally work them off the court, so you got an open court to hit a winner.
Cool. Tripp, you were going to say
I
something
was just
there.
going to say that, because there's not ever going to be a carbon copy, and everybody's going to have different strengths and weaknesses. It's
Right.
also, as far as a game plan goes, it's important to, during practices and training and stuff, to teach them how to assess the other person they're about to play, and then develop a game plan based on that assessment.
Right.
And then using different tactics and different strategies to develop a winning game plan and implement that game plan. And
Right.
also being able to, because it's really key for each player to be able to not only have a game plan when they go out there, but also recognize if they need to make adjustments to their game plan. And that's something that we can help them with, and we try to, but we also work really hard on them being able to recognize it and do it themselves too.
Exactly. It's an interesting sport. And again, I know a lot of people watch it. Some may be new to it. You've got individual matches, but it's still a team game.
Got to have 3 wins.
You got to have those 3 wins.
Now, it
And
hasn't always been that way in Georgia. When Daddy
really?
first coached, you had a single state championship and a double state championship, and then
wow.
and so you won individually for the state, sort of like I think track does that.
Sure.
But I don't remember.
It's been a long time they've had the team concept
Right.
now.
And I love the team concept.
Right, yeah,
and all.
me too.
I think it's fantastic. Well, let's talk a little bit about the past season, a little bit about this state championship again. I'm going to kind of put y'all on the spot here. First of all, winning the state championship obviously has to be a thrill. But this wasn't your first state championship. Boys and girls, just kind of going back over the last few years, can y'all give me maybe a round figure about how many y'all have had, Lee? Because y'all have had multiple championships.
The girls, this was their 4th state championship, and then one year they were runners-up. Last year they were runners-up. This year won it.
Right.
The boys went 5 out of 6 years that they played for the state championship from
Wow.
16 to 22. And they won 2 of them, and they were runners-up 3 times,
Wow.
And right now we're really working trying to get the boys back. We say we've been down, but they have made it to the Elite 8 the last 2
Yeah.
years, which is pretty doggone
That's
good,
very
too.
good.
But we got some younger kids. They're working, and we're hoping to get them back to that level where they're able to compete for the state championships again.
Well, one of the more exciting ones I remember was prior to this year. We had the opportunity to do it. They had the state championship. I believe it was for the boys a few years back when we played Seminole County.
2019.
Is that what it was? All right, so let me get your impressions on that, and then we'll hit this girls one. It seems to me, I think we were tied 2-2, and the boys' doubles was losing, I think, what was it, by 5-2 or some. And the rally they made, Lee, I'm sure you remember it. Lee Tripp, I don't remember if you were there or not.
No, I wasn't here.
The rally those boys made, they didn't lose another game. I don't know what you said to them or how they did it, but they came back from. It
They
was
were
almost
down 1-4 in the 3rd set, and it was 1 set apiece, And basically, what I told them to do, they had one kid that was really good and really athletic, and I said, hit it to the other kid. I don't care if it's the net or back, hit everything to the other kid.
Yeah.
And so every now and then, when we gave the real athletic kid a shot, he was so pumped up, he was hitting it out.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and they come back and they won
It was an incredible one.
5 games in a row to win it.
That it was incredible because I kept thinking, oh gosh, they're not going to make it. And once they tied it up at 4-4, oh my goodness, the enthusiasm and the fans that were there that day,
Yeah.
that was incredible. But let's talk about the girls here and what they've just accomplished. Again, guys, when y'all think about state titles, there, a lot of kids when they go into athletics, they have dreams of it. But more people don't win state championships, obviously, than do. So
Only
obviously,
one person in a division is going to win a championship.
exactly. And so the multiple ones y'all have done. This one with the girls, tell me a little bit about it. Tripp, I'm going to start with you. I noticed, because I love watching pre-games, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, tennis, whatever. And I noticed before the girls' game, you went to a couple of the players as they were warming up, and it looked like you were giving them some advice or maybe some tips. Can you kind of tell me what your role was that day when the girls played in the championship?
Well, I mean, it's the same as basically every match. And first, we're just warming up, right? And then the other is, helping them focus in on what they need to do, focus in on what they're capable of. Sort of zoning in, getting prepared, locking in, so to speak, on what they need to do. And that's really all I'm doing, just telling them things they need to remember individually, telling them things to keep their mind on. But most of the time, our players are really strong.
Right.
And the big thing is that they need to play their game. And that's basically what I'm constantly reminding. Don't play to their level, play to your level.
Right.
Don't lose confidence in your ability.
Yeah, we preach, be cocky, be confident out there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, of course, when they started playing, there were some great matches going on that day. If I mention a couple of the girls, and again, y'all, I want to make sure we hit all the starters at least.
Right.
But let's start with that number one single, Sophie Cook. Noticed in that match against the number one for Irwin, the volleys early, boy, they had some long volleys on that.
They did.
And I don't know, I don't mean this if any of our Irwin fans are watching as a criticism, but it looked like Sophie did what you guys were talking about, run your opponent.
Right, she did. And
That girl started out hot. And that's
She
what
did.
I heard, that if she's on, she hits the ball hard. And if she stays on, she can beat you. In the first 2 games, man, it was unreal.
Oh, she was good.
But the more Sophie, when the legs start getting tired, you're not as accurate.
Right.
Sometimes. And that Sophie running her help.
And that's one thing about Sophie. Sophie, I've seen it multiple times throughout her high school career. And then she's not the only player on the team. We have multiple players that are like this. But never discount Sophie.
Yeah.
Because she can be down at the end. Sophie is going to go till the end, and she can last. And so, and she's played a lot of tennis. She's a very good tennis player.
Right.
And so she just was able to outlast and stay in control of herself against the player. And so then she ended up becoming the dominant one by the end.
Wow. How about I mentioned Sarah Williams, I believe it was, the second singles.
Mm-hmm.
Again, she made quick work.
Right.
Sarah started just dominating everybody there towards the end of the season. She
Exactly.
really did. She's got a complete game. She likes to go to the net. She's good with the volleys, good with the overheads. She's got some really strong ground strokes. I mean, we just trying to keep her fine-tuned.
Right. And so she should be one of your key players coming back next year.
She'll be the first singles next
I'm going to say a number of them should be coming back, or quite a few should
They
be
are.
coming
A
back.
lot are coming back. And I will point out that, and I mean this very seriously, every single one of our starters and our alternates are our key players, because they all, and we preach this all season long, it doesn't matter if you're first singles or second doubles or third singles or first doubles. Every single person is 1 point towards that total of 3 that you need. So
That's
they're
right.
all key. And
The third win that clinched at Pars was second doubles.
right.
That's right. And that was Sydney Singleton. Am I right on
Carlin,
that?
no.
And
Yeah.
Carlin Jones?
Carlin.
Carlin.
No,
Carlin Knowles.
Oh, okay, because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I messed that up on
I
that.
remember.
More than once, I tell you what.
No, Carlin Knowles, yeah.
Tell me about those two at the second doubles cause, boy, that's a pressure situation for them to be in, and obviously they handled it well.
Well, our doubles, we've been winning earlier with our singles, but we knew our doubles need to get stronger. So last year that was big emphasis on getting better. And so 3 of those girls started last year. The only new one is Sydney.
Wow.
Who's a really good athlete, And so they just carried it over from last year and just got better and better. I mean, our first doubles team split sets, and they were winning the third set.
Right, right. And that would be Samantha Marshall and
Saley
Siddle, yeah, on those two. Now, I know Samantha's not coming back.
No.
But Saley
Saley
will
back.
she be like a junior?
She's a senior.
A senior. So you're going to have some veterans on that team next year.
We will.
4 seniors.
Right.
Wow. And then I think, was it Riley Jones was the third?
Riley Jones was our third single.
And again, I apologize because I mispronounce names an
It's
awful
all
lot.
right.
I'm so glad I don't do graduations anymore. Oh, God. Tell me a little bit about Riley, y'all. And again, because I think she had a very tough opponent, and she
Riley
hung in
is-
there really well.
Well,
But
and-
she was also running a fever 102 tonight.
What?
Yeah, she
And
was
I
sick
didn't
that
know
day.
about
She
it,
didn't.
you know.
She didn't tell us, and that's the type of players we have. She didn't tell us. She didn't want anybody to give us. She didn't want us to give her special attention or to baby her.
Yeah,
You know,
but wow.
and
She's an athlete.
she's an
Absolutely.
athlete,
She needs
and
to
Riley
do.
is a very, very, very strong player, and she's improved consistently since she's been in high school. But you could really see, by the end of the season, from the end of the season up through to this playoffs games. I mean, it's just like each match, she did exactly what we asked her to do, and she was better than the match before. But for her, it wasn't just better than the match before. Each match throughout the playoffs, she was 2 times better than she was the match before.
In the
Wow.
semifinals, the girl from Johnson beating her twice during the regular season.
Yeah.
Riley smoked her.
Wow.
I mean,
The
it wasn't even
semifinals.
competitive. So, I mean, she just
She
really
just has
stepped
really
into her
improved.
game. Right.
But bless her heart, coming in with a
She was sick,
102.
right. And she had a good opponent. And so,
Yeah.
and it's difficult sometimes to come through that.
But with the heat and everything
Yeah,
too, I
yeah.
just admire her for doing
too.
that because she sure didn't tell it. Didn't
No.
we? Didn't know it.
I didn't know until days later. So,
Yeah,
Well-
we didn't know it the day of the match.
Wow. Well, my partner that announced that, Wes Pope, if he had known it, he would have told us.
I'm sure he would have.
You know, Wes, I hope you're watching out there. Well, guys, let me ask you this as kind of a little final thing. Again, looking at next year, boys and girls, I know we've touched on it a little bit. The girls, like I say, you may have about 4 seniors maybe coming back next year with the girls. How about with the guys in terms of like some senior leadership, or is it going to be more of a young team with the boys?
Well, it's going to be young. Our only senior is Hall, I think.
He is. It will be our only senior. But, I mean, Hall is a good leader. He's a
Right.
great motivator. And
He likes to give speeches, too.
he does.
Yeah,
He
go
does.
for it. Good for
And,
him.
And, you know, I really think that based on what I've seen and based on what we'll have, we're going to have a strong boys team.
We're going to be better.
Good, good. And of course, again, like we say, for those of you that don't get a chance, most of the home matches or all of them are played at the rec department. And again, I think we have 10, is it 10
Courts,
courts?
10 courts, yeah.
Out that way, so you're able to do boys and girls,
Right.
right?
Right,
At
exactly.
the same time. So next season, of course, please feel free to come out, enjoy, watch, and all. And then I think the CEO is either going to correct me or tell me something I've done here. Patty, what you got?
I was just going to ask them, they had some girls on the flag football play tennis. Did you tell the difference in the playing?
Yeah.
Now, and again, just to repeat that question again, that we have some of the girls that play flag football play tennis,
Right.
and your question was?
It makes them better athletes to do different things.
We
you know.
like them to play other sports.
Uh-huh.
Because every sport that you play is going to, you're increasing your athleticism, and you're also working on different muscle groups and stuff. So,
You know what Coach Dooley said?
What was that?
The worst thing in his 25 years of coaching Georgia football was high school kids specializing in one sport.
He liked them to play various sports.
It's like to play baseball and basketball, too.
because you
That's
become
wonderful.
more well-rounded. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'll go ahead and say this is the Coach Dooley of Telfair County right here, because 37 years in, and again, going strong, going to keep on going. And again, had a couple of my buddies said he's the GOAT of tennis coaches across the state. And you are, those of y'all that are not familiar with GOAT, greatest of all time. So again, Lee, thank you.
I appreciate that.
No, it's the truth. And again, I got some stories on him though about when we were teaching together. But we'll just save that for another time. What do you think? And I'm sure you have a couple on me as well. So, Tripp, thank you too for joining us. We just appreciate y'all's insight into it, and thank you, the viewer, for watching us this afternoon or whenever you do watch it. Let me hit my sponsors one more time because they do such a good job, and without these sponsors, we're not able to bring all of these athletic events to you. Want to thank Gage Harrelson Contractors, LLC, Riles Drugstore, Riles Outfitters, Sunny Smiles Pet Grooming, LLC, Deep and Deeper Cleaning, State Farm Insurance Agency, Will Gardner, the agent, Your Choice Healthcare PC in McRae, Willow Creek Restaurant, Stamps Walker Insurance, the Telfair County Rec Department, Merchants and Citizens Bank, Joy's Florist, Dion with DJ's Triple Threat, Cedar Lane Restaurant, Golden Isles Healthcare, LG Custom Services, Graham Farm Insurance, Family Medical Care with Rick Clyte, Baby C, Baby Do. Get your gender reveal started today. Telfair Snapshots, the Telfair Chamber of Commerce, and Friends of Little Oak Muggy State Park. And Patty, before we go off the air, I want to mention, you correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, well, we've seen how that happens over the years. Patty and Sonny out there, wrong. All right. No, want to ask, so far Deep Productions and going into their 9th year, correct? We have reached over one. Don't see it on this paper. Wrong. So that's why I'm asking you. We've reached over 1 million, and we've had over 900,000 views. So to you, the viewers and all, that's just, I would never have thought it 9 years ago. Thank y'all for watching and be a part of the Deep Production family. And as Patty said, on Friday, I believe we'll be in McRae, Georgia, the rec department for the fireworks display there and the good times that'll be had. And then on Saturday, we'll be over in Milan, Georgia. Patty calls that God's country. That's where she's from. It is, and Lee knows. So again, we'll be over there to celebrate the 4th with some fireworks and some food. So come join us. And again, thank you for watching Deep Productions. Have a great day, everybody.